I'm Jan Camp. I'm going to start with a brief history of hooping. The Hoopdance Revolution officially started in the late 1990s with a handful of idealistic youth who followed the summer music festivals in the United States. Each took their colorful, oversized hoops back home to share with family and friends. From there, the playful challenge of hoop dance grew into an international, intergenerational movement that invites us to feel good in our bodies and in our world. Playing with hoops made from natural materials goes back to antiquity, but the advent of molded plastics made possible the manufacture and sale of over 20 million toy hoops during a few months in 1958. The hula hoop caused one of the biggest fads ever documented by sociologists. Hooping seemed to disappear from popular consciousness, only to return in the 1980s with another recession. Barry Shapiro, Whammo's executive vice president and general manager in 1982, said, "Whammo has always felt that when the world is in kind of a messy state and people are unhappy, something like the hoop lets them just forget about everything while they go spinning around." From chapter 1, which starts with a quote by Kevin O'Keefe, "You can only have good thoughts while hooping. Anything negative just shoots out from the circle and fun comes in." The sensation of whirling like a dervish as a young woman, my skirts billowing with centrifugal force, returned to me during my very first hoop dance class. Along with 7 other students, I gave the instructor my full attention, even though I was unsure that I would be able to manage a large hoop. When she demonstrated the graceful flow of hoop dancing, however, there was no turning back. I was going to do that. Before long, we were swinging hoops wildly and dropping them freely. By the middle of the class, I was gaining control of my hoop, and by the end, I was committed to the practice. It was fun, aerobic, and social. At home, I started practicing for just 1 minute a day in my driveway with a high fence to shield my awkward attempts. On rainy days, I pushed aside the furniture and hooped in my living room to the music of Buena Vista Social Club, Janis Ian, or Yo-Yo Ma, depending on my mood. As I progressed, I wanted company. I wanted laughter and inspiration, as well as the dance. I made hoops for all my friends from instructions I found on the internet and moved from the safety of my driveway to the park around the corner. "I could never do it" became my cue to help others reach that moment of elation when, for the first time, the hoop orbits the body and stays up, even if only for a revolution or 2. Chapter 3, Beyond the Basics in Hoopdance Revolution, quotes George Clinton, "Ain't nothing good unless you play with it." Inspired by hooping harmony, mother and daughter who are profiled in chapter 1, I wanted to meet everyone who was making hoop dance a life choice. I started by contacting Christabel Zamor because she trained most of the teachers I took classes with in Berkeley. Christabel introduced me to Rich Porter and Con Wong. Rich introduced me to Brecken Rivera and Beth Lavender. Thus began my journey, where the influence of these and many other marvelous hoopers took me to the next level of my own practice. Their stories and tips give us a further glimpse into the hoop dance movement's form and philosophy. And I'm going to read about 2 young people in Oakland who are touring internationally as Ninja Hoops. I'm going to read their profile, Vegetable Circus. When I hitched a ride to the Harbin Hoop Jam in 2010, I met Zach Fisher and Maria Grace. They are known as Number 9 and Madam Spinach in the Vegetable Circus, a physical program for kids. Zach met Maria in Boston, where she had been a founding member of the Boston Hoop Troupe in 2003. Zach also happened upon a juggler called Hot Soup and his buddy Gazpacho. They were teaching kids to juggle with oranges at a fair while telling them how good oranges were for their health. When Hot Soup and Gazpacho formed Vegetable Circus, they recruited Number 9 and Madam Spinach to teach an after-school program, complete with hooping and tumbling. When Maria teaches hooping, beginner parkour, or juggling with food, she uses storytelling to bring out the creative silliness in children. For a hoop class, she shows up in mismatched, brightly colored socks that clash with her purple ruffled pants and orange tank top. "Let's warm up," she begins, and soon the class is rolling on the floor with hoops. Zach is following along demurely, looking circumspect in his black street pants and muscle shirt, but striped socks of pink on one foot and green on the other are a clue that he might cause some monkey business. Sure enough, he chimes in to put an anti-spin on the windmill arm stretching exercise, which has the kids flailing in circles and laughing. Together, Zach and Maria accent instruction with clowning around. They burst into acrobatic hooping with runs and jumps that stop short in poses. When Number 9 lifts Madam Spinach into the air, the question arises, can we get a hoop up there? And they do. Children love to see adults playing with food. Some kids don't see fresh vegetables until they go to college, join the military, or enter the workforce. Vegetable Circus puts whole foods into kids' hands so they can see what it looks and smells like. They can toss a banana into the air and learn that if it's stepped on, it'll go squish. When they play with an orange for 20 minutes and drop it repeatedly, it softens up. Then it's easier to peel, tastes great, and gives them energy. Zach says adding fruits and vegetables to a juggling act is a great way to motivate kids. And they learn that what they put into their bodies affects what they can do. If they don't have proper nutrition, their handstands won't be as good. It gets kids' attention, and it gets them moving. Well, the next story I'll read is about taking a road trip down to Southern California and to meet a woman from South Africa, sort of serendipitously. Amy Goldstein is co-producer of the documentary film, The Hooping Life, which features many of the hoop dancers I interviewed for the book. I had several email exchanges with Amy, but she wouldn't give me her phone number or address until I was in her neighborhood. I didn't take the uncertainty as a negative. Meeting the LA contingent of hooping was important, so I was persistent. When I finally arrived at Amy's studio, I got briefed on the film and introduced to Sass Schultz, who was visiting Amy from South Africa on her way to Burning Man. Sass's story of healing from childhood trauma is also told in chapter 4 of the book. Sass started hoop dancing in her late 30s when a friend invited her to a Moon Tribe gathering where people get together in Southern California in the desert to play music and dance under the full moon. It was December of 2000. She says, "That's where I saw a tall, skinny woman dancing in the dust with a hoop. I thought, Oh, I've got to try that. My hoop fell to the ground each time I tried, but I couldn't walk away. The beautiful woman showed Sass again and again how to hoop until she got it. 5 hours later, Sass was still hooping. The woman was Anna Reckenbach, the famous Hoopalicious, and Sass bought 2 hoops from her that day. Married and doing her own version of the Hollywood wife of an actor, Sass didn't have to work, but she struggled to find acting jobs because she is, after all, an actor herself. She had been dancing and acting since she was 14, 2 talents that led naturally to performing as a hoop dancer. She says, "Even though I was acting in South Africa, it's very different when you get to Hollywood. Finding the hoop just spun me off in a different direction. It was fairly addictive, and I had scant competition for fire hooping performance in Los Angeles at that time." It was 2 years before Sass learned to hoop with her upper body, whereas many coming into the movement now develop entire lexicons of moves in a matter of months. For a long time, she says, larger and heavier hoops were considered better. When hoopers started playing with smaller, faster hoops, they began doing things we couldn't even imagine when we started out. In less than a decade, the insular specialty of hoop dance would dovetail into a whole new world of movement, repurposing ideas and technique from circus, vaudeville, gymnastics, and sacred ritual. In 2003, Sass joined the Good Vibe Hoop Tribe with Hoopalicious. The tribe performed for parties such as Sting's birthday and another organized by Robert Downey Jr. for his girlfriend, and for Cirque du Soleil opening night after parties. Performing was only part of the allure for Sass. She is most attracted to hooping as a leveler of social status. A barista from a coffee shop and a top-class surgeon are equally qualified to hoop dance. Success is not about what you drive or what you wear. It is the rapport you build with people around you and how you can rock that hoop. As a synthesis creation, there is sympathetic likeness among hoopers without sameness. Before she met Anna Hoopalicious at the Moon Tribe gathering, Sass had never seen hoops in Los Angeles. After that, there was hooping at every party she went to. If you hooped in Los Angeles at that time, she said, you knew everybody else who hooped. It was a small circle. You were either taught by Anna or by someone who learned from her. I call Anna the Eve of Hoopers because she birthed us all. On the subject of the sacred journey, I'll read about a woman who's really been an inspiration to me. There is a great deal of accomplished, athletic hoop dancing that goes on around the globe in meetups and in video. But the goal of Hoopdance Revolution is not solely about expertise. Jaguar Mary, Jama, co-founded the DC Hoop Collective in Washington, D.C., and hoop dance is her tool for transformation on this planet. In her process of learning, dropping the hoop is an inspiration rather than a defeat, and she readily dreams of dancing in ways that her body is not actually able to understand quite yet. Through persistence, conscientious practice, she moves towards an intention to flow without hurry. I continue to apply myself, she says, develop skill, and become more aware. The practice is forever. Jama organizes sacred circularities, retreats, that function as a laboratory for intermingling of intentional hoop dance with meditation, sound play, and yoga. Each group supports the individual quest of its members. Jama says, "We travel to sacred places to send out waves of love. We assist, amplify, and anchor the planet's vibration through ecstatic movement by embracing our own divinity with hoop dance. We spin to replicate the movement of planets and stars. We visit ancient sites of significant spiritual vibration to acknowledge our roots. And we pray together in gratitude for the brilliance of life. Flow is the way we change. The fire of transformation and the interplay of life and death are the eternal spin we are in." Jama has over 25 years of movement experience and a master's in fine arts degree. New York's Museum of Modern Art and biennials of contemporary art around the world show her films. Her interview videos document the hoop dance movement. As a healer, she is certified in massage and Reiki therapy. When she moves the hoop around her own body, throwing it, catching it, jumping through it, hooping is play, dance, and meditation, all twirled into one joy-inducing activity. She says, "I sit and I meditate, or I hoop. Both open my mind. As corny and old school as it sounds, hooping is mind-blowing."